All right, everyone. The other day it was really funny. Donald Trump was pointing out when he was talking to the legacy media reporters there, he's like, well, you ask Joe Biden questions that you would ask a child, and, you smile at him, and basically you softball him. You don't do that for me, and it was a funny time. The hypocrisy has been on transparent display now for the entire election. This, though, I will say this. Even before Biden clinched, even before his opponent was Trump and it was in the primaries, they sort of treated him the same way now, didn't they? They never really hardballed him at the debates between the Democrats when they were getting questions. Reporters already were softballing him on the campaign trail, even when he was mainly facing off against like Sanders and Warren and Bloomberg. They were already doing that. In a way, it's almost, you can't blame them fully, because it's almost like if you hardball the dude, he's so obviously going to stumble. It's almost a lot like elder abuse. It's almost lopsided, because these other individuals around him were generally capable of answering questions, with the exception, oddly in some cases, of Kamala Harris, who happened to be chosen for his running mate. But otherwise, the candidates generally, they were reasonably coherent. Therefore, if a person is actually able to play ball, it makes more sense. It's sort of like, with a little kid, you don't, hurl a fastball at them. You use a wiffle ball or something. They get a little older, you do some softball, and then later on, when they're older, when they can take a head injury and not fall into a coma, so to speak, of course I'm just joking with that, then you switch to using the actual baseball. Biden is basically the training wheels candidate. He's the dude, he has the little spinny hat on his head, and he has to have a tricycle because he would fall over if he tried to ride a bike. It was very funny because remember when he literally went biking? And this is right before he confirmed that Kamala was his running mate, I think the day before. And the media made a big show about it. Oh, look, he can't have cognitive decline. He knows how to ride a bike still. Well, it would have been really funny if there had been training wheels on it or something like that. You almost expect it. But there is a lopsidedness to this particular election, and it's not just the never-ending wall 24/7 of propaganda, which is almost entirely anti-Trump, almost entirely pro-Biden-Harris. It's not just coming from the usual gang of idiots at CNN and MSNBC. Fox has joined in too. By and large, Fox News does not support Donald Trump. By and large, support for Trump is coming from independent commentators, like regular people. Because the rich, they kind of fear Trump. I think that they think that if he gets a second term and he doesn't have to run for re-election, he'll impose more populistic policies. Well, a populistic tax code is going to keep helping entrepreneurs in the middle class. They're competitors at this point. The legacy media, let me tell you something. They are increasingly concerned about small-time individuals with a webcam on main tech and on alt tech. They're afraid of alt tech. There's a reason why the ADL, SPLC, all these groups are being trotted out by these morons to attack, like BitChute and Library and stuff like that. There's a reason why they always screech about Russia and hateful conspiracy theories, medical disinformation, and all these other buzz terms that they've dreamed up to try to combat their competitors. There's a reason for this. They're not doing it for their own benefit. They're not doing it because they're happy. They're not fighting tooth and nail against sites 1% their size because they're not afraid. It'd be like an elephant shrieking and running away because it sees a mouse. It wouldn't make any sense now, would it? With Trump, they are genuinely afraid he'll be reelected and he'll pass Tax Cut 2.0. That he'll have another 4 years to go after China on trade deals because they've all got foreign investments. The people that run these legacy media firms, remember, they're heavily invested in China. They're heavily invested in Europe. They're heavily invested everywhere. They don't want populism. They want outright globalism. They don't care which economy is rising or falling so long as they can buy into the one that's rising. That's basically the way that it works. They don't care how many workers are screwed in the process. This is how the Chinese trade deals of the past have been formulated by Clinton and others. So yeah, they're afraid of Trump. There's a reason that they're softballing his opponent. Partially because I think they genuinely know that he can't do anything other than a softball. Biden has had trouble even during fluff piece interviews or with a teleprompter and notes. He has trouble even when he's being explicitly told what to say by his staffers in an earpiece and on paper in front of him. He still stumbles. The dude cannot have more than a 10-second video conference or speech, scripted or otherwise. He never takes impromptu questions from reporters. I guarantee he's reminded every day by his staff, don't talk to the press. Don't address them. If they ask you a question, walk right on by and pretend you don't hear them. Because when you respond, you either get hot under the collar or you become incoherent because there's no notes in front of you. That's Biden's problem. They even half-hide Kamala Harris at this point. Kamala Harris comes out, she's rambling about how the riots shouldn't end and talking about how if a vaccine was deployed, she probably wouldn't trust it. You've literally got, by the way, a possible vice president who's apparently a selective anti-vaxxer. You realize that, correct? It's a really, really funny thing. We're the pro-science party. Oh, I wouldn't trust a vaccine that Trump fast-tracked, let alone that Trump's not in the lab developing it. Really funny times that we're living in. Of course the legacy media softballs the person that they want to win. This isn't the first time that it's happened. It happened before. It was clear in 2012, by and large, the legacy media wanted Obama to be reelected. In 2016, by and large, the legacy media wanted Clinton to be elected. We even had leaked emails that showed quite explicitly and clearly that the Clinton camp was explicitly coordinating with MSNBC. We had emails to that effect. We had multiple emails. I think it was from the Podesta releases. Before that, Obama was favored in 2008, which made sense, even for regular people. In 2004, it was maybe more of an even split because he had, the media was different back then in the the early wave of modernity sort of mid-2000s thing. It was a little bit different than now in the social media and post-social media era. Now we're in the alt-tech era, arguably, because the mainline firms keep cutting off their noses to spite their face by destroying their own independent creators for absolutely no legitimate purpose. Trump's correct here. Kind of hard to deny. Look at CNN's front page on any given day. What do you see? Is there a single thing there that's positive about Trump? Right now, the front page is half about this non-scandal involving Trump's supposed statements about veterans that he and others claim that he never even made, that has an anonymous source behind it, which we saw in 2016. Over and over, anonymous source says Trump pissed all over the White House. Anonymous source says Trump fingered this person. Anonymous source says X, Y, and Z. Trump has done this time. They did it over and over again for the better part of a year. By the way, it didn't work. That's about all. Peace out.